The lights are out, your phone is charging across the room, and your body is finally still. Yet the moment your head hits the pillow, your brain screams, "Action!" Suddenly, you aren't just a person trying to drift into unconsciousness. You are the lead actor, the director, and the screenwriter of a high-stakes blockbuster playing on the private cinema of your eyelids. You might find yourself delivering a devastatingly articulate response to a manager who slighted you weeks ago, or perhaps you're finally hearing a crush confess their undying love in a scene that has never actually happened. While the world might dismiss this as simple overthinking or an overactive imagination, psychology reveals that these midnight mental scripts are actually a deeply sophisticated biological strategy designed to solve the problems reality refused to finish. To understand why your brain enters this intense overdrive the moment the lights go out, we have to look at a quiet but massive power shift happening inside your nervous system. Throughout the day, your prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for logic, social filters, and impulse control, is working at full capacity to keep you rational and productive. It swallows your frustrations and pushes down unmet desires just to keep the peace during your 9-to-5 existence. However, as you drift towards sleep, your logical brain is the first to check out, leaving the limbic system, your emotional and memory hub, to run at full speed without any adult supervision. This window of time is known as the hypnagogic state, a unique psychological threshold where your mind can no longer process emotions analytically, so it translates them into vivid, story-like imagery instead. This biological handoff explains why your bedtime scenarios are never truly random. They are intensely personal attempts to fulfill 3 core psychological needs. The first is a deep-seated craving for closure, often driven by what researchers call the Zeigarnik effect. This phenomenon suggests that the human mind remembers unfinished tasks and unresolved conflicts much more vividly than those that have reached a conclusion. When reality denies you an apology, a second chance, or a final word, your brain treats that interaction like an open tab running in the background of your psyche. By replaying the scene and scripting a perfect ending where you finally stand up for yourself, you are mentally cleaning up the emotional wreckage and allowing your brain to finally set the issue down. The second driver is a primal desire for control in a world that often feels chaotic and unscripted. In your real life, you cannot control how people respond to you. You cannot predict rejection, and you certainly cannot rewind a conversation to try a different approach. But inside the kingdom of your imagined scenarios, you are the absolute ruler who decides every camera angle, every character's reaction, and every flawless line of dialogue. For those who have spent long periods feeling powerless, overlooked, or unheard in the physical world, these scenarios offer a safe laboratory to experience a sense of worth and agency that reality has yet to provide. You can win every argument and correct every mistake until you feel psychologically even with the world again. The third need is rooted in the anticipation of reward. Neuroscience tells us that the brain responds not only when we actually achieve a goal, but also when we anticipate a win. When you imagine yourself shining in front of a crowd or being recognized for a secret talent, your nervous system can experience a taste of satisfaction even though the event has never happened. In this way, your bedtime scenarios act as a kind of mental vision board, providing a small preview of the emotions you want to feel to soothe the stress of a lackluster or difficult day. Your imagination isn't just escaping reality. It is trying to give you the emotions that reality forgot to provide. Beyond mere wish fulfillment, these scenarios often function as a form of mental simulation or cognitive distraction. Much like a pilot uses a flight simulator to practice for engine failure, your brain uses these scripts to test social variables and prepare for future challenges. This is why many people find themselves rehearsing upcoming interviews or difficult family conversations. It reduces uncertainty and makes the real situation feel slightly less unfamiliar when it finally arrives. By building these narratives, you are also gently moving away from the rigid logic of waking thought and toward the strange, image-heavy mental landscape that comes before sleep. However, for some people, this inner refuge can transform from a soft blanket into a gilded cage. The danger begins when the simulation becomes so rewarding that it starts substituting for real-world action. You might rehearse a difficult conversation so many times in your head that by the time you actually see the person, you've lost the motivation to speak because the loop already feels finished in your mind. Or you might imagine a successful version of yourself so vividly that the grueling, messy work required to reach that state in reality feels exhausting and unappealing by comparison. And that is the cruelest part. Your imagination can give you just enough of the emotional reward of becoming that person that you temporarily stop feeling the urgency to actually become them. You feel productive without producing, brave without taking the risk, successful without putting anything into the world that could fail. And years can disappear inside that gap. Before we go any further, if that last part felt a little too familiar, if the most impressive version of your life keeps happening inside your head while the real version stays permanently on "I'll start soon," I made 2 practical resources for exactly that gap. The Ordinary Man Project is for the deeper pattern, the provisional life where you keep preparing, imagining, and waiting for the future version of yourself to finally take over. And the 14-day discipline game is for the simpler but equally painful problem of already knowing what you should do and still not doing it. One is a 6-week workbook for confronting the pattern. The other turns action into a 14-day system with clear rules, daily missions, and a way to keep moving even after you slip. They're linked below. I'm not going to sell them to you again in this video. If you need them, they're there. Because at some point, another perfectly imagined life becomes more expensive than an imperfect real one. Over time, the brain can become habituated to these internal emotional hits, creating a cycle where you choose the comfort of fantasy over the friction of real life. This habit is frequently associated with patterns of hypervigilance, especially in people who learned early in life to pay close attention to the emotional environment around them. If you grew up in an environment where the moods of adults were unpredictable, your nervous system may have learned to become a kind of radar station, constantly scanning for signs of danger. As an adult, this survival strategy can continue through endless prediction, rehearsal, and simulation. A network in the brain often involved in self-referential thinking, memory, and internal simulation is called the default mode network, or DMN. In these cases, the bedtime scenario isn't just a creative escape. It can become a defensive strategy to predict every possible variable so that you can never be blindsided by emotional pain again. Some part of you begins to believe that if you can imagine every possible outcome, nothing can surprise you. That understanding everything will somehow protect you from feeling anything you weren't prepared to feel. But eventually, prediction becomes its own prison. If you find that these scenarios are stealing your rest, making you wake up resentful toward innocent people, or making reality feel thin and flat compared with the world inside your head, there are practical ways to pull yourself back into the present. The first is to acknowledge the loop by naming it. Simply saying, "I'm worrying about this again," or "I'm directing another movie," creates a small amount of distance between you and the thought. Instead of being inside the movie, you become the person noticing that the movie is playing. Second, interrupt the pattern deliberately. You can use a firm internal cue like stop and pair it with a visual image. A red stop sign, a television switching off, or a power button shutting down. The goal isn't to violently suppress every thought. It is simply to break the automatic momentum long enough to choose what happens next. Third, take over the bandwidth. Your conscious attention is limited. If you leave an empty mental space and simply command yourself not to think, the old story often rushes straight back in. So immediately replace it with something emotionally neutral. Count your breaths. Recite something from memory. Listen closely to the hum of an air conditioner. Count backwards slowly. Give your brain something boring enough to occupy it, but not stimulating enough to build another movie around. Fourth, return to the physical body. Notice the weight of your legs against the mattress, the temperature of the sheets, the pressure of the pillow against your head, the movement of air through your nose. Your mind is trying to live 5 years in the future or reconstruct a conversation from 6 months ago. Your body can only exist here, now. And the more attention you return to physical sensation, the harder it becomes to remain completely absorbed in the imaginary world. But the ultimate insight is that your pre-sleep scenarios are not simply flaws to be eliminated. They can also function as maps, because if the same fantasy keeps returning night after night, ask yourself what it consistently gives you. Respect? Attention? Control? Revenge? Love? Recognition? Freedom? Competence? A second chance? Your fantasies often reveal, with uncomfortable precision, the emotions and identities you wish you were allowed to experience in real life. Maybe every night you imagine yourself finally telling someone what you really think. Then perhaps the fantasy isn't asking for better dialogue. Maybe it's asking you to develop boundaries. Maybe you constantly imagine yourself becoming wealthy, respected, fit, admired, or impossible to ignore. Then perhaps your brain isn't simply entertaining you. Maybe it is showing you a version of yourself you have repeatedly postponed becoming. Maybe you imagine someone finally choosing you. And perhaps beneath the romance is a much simpler hunger, to feel worthy without needing someone else to confirm it. Your midnight movies can tell you what is missing, but they cannot provide it permanently. That is the distinction that matters. Imagination can reveal the destination. It cannot walk there for you. You can rehearse confidence for 10,000 nights and still have to speak when the real room goes quiet. You can imagine the business succeeding and still have to publish the first ugly version. You can picture yourself disciplined and still have to get out of bed tomorrow morning when motivation is nowhere to be found. You can imagine telling someone the truth perfectly. Eventually, you still have to open your mouth. Real things compound in ways imagined things never can. One uncomfortable conversation can change a relationship. One application can create an opportunity. One workout can become 100. 1 hour spent building something can become a body of work. One decision made in reality has consequences. 1,000 decisions made inside your head disappear when you fall asleep. So the question isn't whether you should stop imagining. You probably shouldn't. A mind capable of creating entire worlds in the darkness is not something you need to destroy. The question is whether you have the courage to take the version of yourself that exists so effortlessly in imagination and allow that person to survive contact with reality. Not perfectly, not heroically, just physically. One email, one conversation, one page, one application, one uncomfortable action that exists somewhere other than your head. Because your real life, messy, unscripted, embarrassing, unpredictable, and imperfect as it is the only place where anything can actually change. If you recognized yourself in this midnight movie theater, your mind is clearly capable of enormous depth and imagination. But don't let that imagination become a provisional life built entirely out of someday, eventually, and what if. If you're ready to stop being a spectator and start filming your real life, hit the subscribe button and join us as we continue decoding the hidden architecture of the human mind. And tell me something in the comments. What is the one scenario you find yourself replaying most often at 2 a.m.? The argument you finally win? The person who finally chooses you? The success nobody saw coming? Or the version of yourself who finally gets their life together? Whatever your answer is, don't dismiss it too quickly. There might be something inside that fantasy worth bringing back with you when morning comes. Go become the person you keep rehearsing.